Welcome to the channel. In today's video, I will be explaining if Jameis Winston can take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers back to the playoffs for the first time in a decade. That's coming up on Brandon's Sports Talk. Thank you for joining me on the channel today, guys. Hope everybody's having a great day. Now, I know you're probably wondering, how can Jameis Winston take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers back to the playoffs for the first time in 10 years? Now, let's start off with this. Tampa Bay has their franchise quarterback for a long time. They have been without a franchise quarterback. They haven't had a quarterback. And drafting Jameis Winston was basically hitting a gold mine for this team. Last year, this team went 9-7. They used to have Jameis Winston, obviously, who's their franchise quarterback. Last year, he threw for 4,090 yards, 28 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. He threw 3 more interceptions that he did the previous year from that. But I think that if he lowers his interceptions down and stop making, what people will say is rookie mistakes, then I think that he will be better suited for this team and really take that leadership role of not, making too much mistakes and, just having the mess ups, just going through his progressions, reading the right reads and doing everything he has to do. But he's their guy at franchise quarterback, and I think he's going to be even better in the years to come. But as of right now, he just needs to keep the interceptions down. That's the only thing that's wrong with Jameis Winston, is that he throws a lot of interceptions at certain times where he shouldn't. So that's how I think that if he just overcomes those interceptions, he'll be good money. But also they have running back Doug Martin. Now, like I said, I don't get into personal stuff, but he's suspended for the first 4 games of this season. There's reports that when he comes back to the team, that he's not guaranteed to get the starting running back job again. Now, the good thing about Tampa Bay is that they have good backup running backs who can play well while he's gone for the first 4 games of the season. It's not going to be that long because, like I said, you have 16 games. Doug Martin be there for 12 games, and if he's not the starter, he'll at least be a viable backup until he wins that starting job back. Like I said, I hope, he's doing what he has to do to take care of his off-the-field issues. Like I said, I don't get into that. You can look it up for yourself. I don't bring negativity to the channel. I stay positive. The only thing I criticize is football play. They have good backup replacements. I was saying before, they have Charles Sims, who I think is a good running back, but he's not really had his chance. I feel like during a regular season, him along with Jaquez Smith will do good for this team with both of them running the ball instead of just one person, then having 2 other backups, and like one of them may not see the field. So I think that them having 3 running backs while one's out, they have 2 running backs. I think that the running game will still remain strong. Yes, it'll probably lack just a little bit, but I think it will still be strong enough for this team to actually win games, get first downs, get the third down conversion, to get set up a first down. But like I said, I like the quarterback situation. They had Jameis Winston has a great backup, and I mean, not great, but like I said, I don't doubt people, but his experience with the New York Jets just really has me low on him as a backup, even as a backup. But Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's a veteran. He knows what to do. He throws too many interceptions as well. I don't think that's a good look for your backup. I don't think that's a good look as a mentoring role for your starting quarterback who throws a lot of interceptions, but has a backup who throws worse interceptions than him. I don't think that's good, but hey, we'll see what happens. But like I said, I have that the future is looking very, very bright for Jameis Winston. Like I said, with the running backs, they have 3. With the tight end, Cameron Brate, very good tight end. He's running his contract this year. I hope they re-sign him next year. He's probably going to want to go get paid for a team that's actually being a contender but does not have a tight end. So I hope Cameron Brate, he stays with the team. And they also drafted the best tight end in the draft, O.J. Howard. Now, for me, I just think that O.J. Howard, he may be the second tight end, but I think during the season they'll probably bump him up to first because his talent just super exceeds him being the second tight end for this team. So I think that with Cameron Brate, who can block and he can go out and receive, and they also have O.J. Howard, that 2 tight end system, if they run that 2 tight end system with Jameis, with the 3 running backs, they only have 2 for the first 4 games of the season, but having Jameis, having the running backs, and having 2 tight ends and an offensive line that I'll get to in a minute. But just having that alone is enough weapons to help him. And of course, we move on to the wide receiver position. They have Mike Evans, who he's their number one. Obviously, everybody knows he's their number one. But having Mike Evans be your number one and then bringing in Deshaun Jackson to be the number two guy is a great thing for this team because they have Vincent Jackson. You know, I hope Vincent Jackson gets signed. I know they say he's older, but I hope he does get signed because Vincent Jackson is still, to me, he's a good receiver. He just got hurt, but they have Vincent Jackson, and if he didn't get hurt last year, it would have even been better to have, you know, him and with Deshaun Jackson if they would have kept him. So I just think that adding Deshaun Jackson, who can go way deep down the field with no problem. I think he still runs a 4.3, 4.4, maybe even a 4.2. I'm not sure. But him having that speed, he can catch. He's a good receiver. Like, you're not going to really hear a bad thing about Deshaun Jackson. You know, off the field things, you know, certain things, you know, whatever. I don't talk about that. But like I said, he's a, you know what I'm saying, he's a, you know, a good player. And I just think that with this team, and I'm not saying Deshaun Jackson has multiple issues. I'm just saying with previous reports of why he left Philadelphia and all that stuff like that. Personally, I just think they want him out. But like I said, I'm not going to focus on that. Deshaun Jackson, he's a good receiver. A huge number two option. He is a number one receiver. Deshaun Jackson is the number one receiver. If you argue that, like I said, you could dispute that all you want to. It's my opinion. I think that Deshaun Jackson is a good number one receiver who's in the number two spot now because they obviously have Mike Evans. And to me, if you rank wide receivers in this league and not being a fan of a certain team, you have to put who's better first. Now, like me, like if you're a fan of a team, let's say if you're let's say if you're a Texans fan and you say, well, Deshaun, you know, Hopkins is the best receiver. I'm sorry, DeAndre Hopkins is the best receiver. Then as a fan, you're going to think that. But as a fan of football and looking at what the teams do and looking at all receivers ranked, you have to rank it by who's better at talent-wise. Now, if you're a fan, like I said before, if you're a fan of the team, you rank it because that's your guy. But as a fan of the product, Julio Jones is number one, Antonio Brown's number two, Odell Beckham is number three, number four receiver, based on last year as well, to me is Mike Evans because he's just a stud and he can just flat out ball out and he can flat out play. And AJ Green to me would be number five because, you know, he got hurt last year or whatever. But they're all, that's top five receiver class right there. So you could put in order which ones or whatever. But I just think that Mike Evans, he's a top five receiver in this league. Deshaun Jackson is a top 15 receiver in this league, top 20 if you want to put it like that. And I just think that having Mike Evans, Deshaun Jackson, Cameron Brate, O.J. Howard, you got three running backs. You'll have two for the first four games. I think that helps out a lot with this team. It helps out Jameis Winston a lot. Deshaun Jackson is fast. He can get there. He can get to the end zone deep-wise. You have Mike Evans, who's big physical. He's about 6'4", 6'5", solid receiver. They also have Adam Humphries as a slot receiver, to me, who can do very, very good in the slot. You have Deshaun Jackson, who could also do well in the slot, but I would leave Adam Humphries in the slot and have Deshaun Jackson just be on the outside. You could have him, you know, do run plays as a wide receiver too, you know. But, you know, certain wildcat plays for, you know, for the team, whatever. But I just think that having Adam Humphries in the slot, leave him in the slot, Deshaun Jackson on the outside, Mike Evans on the other side, Adam Humphries. They also, and as everybody's wondering if I'm looking down, I'm looking at my paper for my notes because, you know, you got to be prepared. Now, and also Adam Humphries is he's good in the return game, so, and Deshaun Jackson's good in the return game, so it's basically like you're kind of getting 2 for 1 right there if you look at it. Now, they also drafted wide receiver Chris Godwin from Penn State. So, I think that he had one of the best top verticals in the draft, combine, and bench press. But, you know what I'm saying, like I said, the combine, a lot of people would say that it doesn't, you know, the combine doesn't matter, but whatever. But to me, Chris Godwin, they got him from Penn State. He's a good receiver. To me, maybe when, you know, like 2 years from now, if the Buccaneers, you know, or 3 years after Deshaun Jackson's contract, they feel like, oh, he's getting up there in age, perfect having Godwin there, who could fill that spot. But he needs more experience. Like I said, it's his first year. You know, being a rookie coming in, You gotta do what you gotta do to impress and be on the team. But it's 4 receivers, 2 tight ends, 3 running backs, right there. That to me, that's a good, powerful offense for this team. They have a decent fullback. I would probably get one in free agency next year, or keep the one they got now. Like I said, fullbacks are not really used, but a lot. Like they're devalued a little bit, but I think they have a decent fullback. So like I said, there's no reason to trip out at having a fullback on the team. Now, for me, now we cover the offense. Let's go to the offensive line. Now in the offensive line game, to me they have a right guard in J.R. Sweezy. Now last year J.R. Sweezy did not play because of his back injury. He had back surgery. So him being a Super Bowl champion with the Seattle Seahawks and him coming to this team last year, signed I think 4 or 5 year deal for this team. With this team, I think now that he's healthy, him at right guard is solid for this team. I think it's solid. I think he's going to do a very good job. He just has to stay healthy. Him bringing that Super Bowl experience to the offensive line will do wonders for them. I think it will motivate them to say, hey, listen, guys, I got a ring. You don't. Listen, I mean, not in a mean way, obviously, but listen, I have a ring. I know what it takes to get there. I know how to be a good offensive lineman for you guys. Let's rock and roll. And I think that will inspire the whole offensive line. Now, with that being said, they have a right guard. In my opinion, a lot of people would say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line is completely garbage. I don't think so. Like I said, I'm never gonna doubt somebody in that particular thing. If you don't really have a good offensive line, certain guys you can make improvements, and certain guys can actually step up and improve. Over the course of a year. So, but they also have a center and Ali Marpet. He's a good center last year for them. To me, he was their best old lineman last year. I think he was a guard the year before they even put him at center. I think he started off as a left guard, I think it was, and they moved him to center last year, and he did phenomenally well. So him being a center for them, to me, is a good thing. Keep him there. Do not move him back or whatever, unless you go in free agency and you get a huge center, like one of the best centers out of free agency, and say, hey, we want you to move back to left guard, and now we have a center, left guard, and a right guard, then hey, I'm fine with it. But I would keep him at center for now. Ali Marpet, J.R. Sweezy. But their left tackle and right tackle, their right tackle is getting old. I think they need a new right tackle. Left tackle, I don't think it's going to be really good, and left guard is lacking a little bit. So, and here's my rule of thumb is, if you have an offensive line, and, there's 5 pieces for the offensive line. If you have 2 good out of the 3 bad, I mean, not bad, but if you have 3 that are not so hot as the other 2, then to me, you struggle. Like this, you're going to struggle more because of the 3 that's not good as opposed to the 2 that is. So, in my opinion, if they had 3 offensive linemen, like let's say if they had a left tackle that was good, their center and their right guard was good. I mean, center and right guard is good, but let's say if the left tackle was good. That's 3 positions on the offensive line you only have to worry about 2 when it comes to drafting and free agency. So you don't have to worry about nothing. But now, because 2 offensive linemen are good, and 3 of them are decent, and that's not really playing well, the offensive line, Jameis Winston has to scramble because the offensive line is not blocking well. It hurts Jameis Winston. You always got to protect your quarterback. But like I said, I think the right tackle, and left guard position is struggling a little bit. Now, if they step up and perform well, then we ain't got nothing to worry about. And they all actually stay there, and by next year, and they get better and better and better and better and better, then there should be no problem with the line. But right now, those are the 3 key positions on the offensive line that has their issues. Now, with that being said, guys, I'm going to move on to the defense. And, boy, this defense is looking really, really good. Okay. They added J.J. Wilcox from the Dallas Cowboys. He's a good... Now, J.J. Wilcox, here's the thing. He was a strong safety behind Barry Church from the Cowboys. And when Barry Church used to get hurt, J.J. Wilcox would step in and help out with the team. He was a good backup to me, in my opinion. That he was a good starter that was a backup. So by him coming to this team, strong safety position is locked down and is good. So, and like I said, these are my opinions. Like I said, people are gonna agree, some people are gonna disagree. But I think they found their strong safety for the next 3-4 years. That's how I feel personally. I think he's really, really good. He played well for the Cowboys, and that's how I feel like he got his time and he got his day by signing Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Once I saw him sign and what this defense is already capable of, that they're capable of, I mean, my goodness, he's a really, really solid starter for this team. Now, free safety, I thought it was going to be Ryan Smith until I heard that he moved to corner and during, Hard Knocks is on, so I'm watching Hard Knocks as well. And, but I saw that he moved to corner, so now I'm kind of like, maybe he could have been, maybe he could have been their corner. I mean, maybe he could have been their free safety, but if he wants to move the corner and prove that he can be a good corner, then I'll let him do that. There's no problem with that. But I just thought, in my opinion, that he could have been a free safety. So, I mean, it's no big deal. But he moved. I think that their second round pick, Justin Evans from Texas A&M, if he steps up and becomes the free safety that everybody thinks that he could become, then I don't have a problem with it. Like I said, but I just think that by Ryan Smith being there for a year, knowing the defense, and he switches the corner, I feel like I left a little tiny gap with the free safety. But I hope Justin Evans picks up and is the free safety that this team wants him to be, getting him out of the second round. So, like I said, all praise to them. Free safety spot has lacked a little bit because we don't know who's going to be the starting, but I think it's going to be Justin Evans, and I think he's going to do a really good job. They have J.J. Wilcox, Justin Evans. If he plays well, it'll be really good. I think this defensive line is very, 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 very good. Very, very good. Now, the reason why I say this is because, I mean, you have one of the best defensive tackles in the game in Gerald McCoy. You also added a really good defensive tackle from the Redskins and Chris Baker. Now, I don't know why the Redskins didn't re-sign him. Hey, listen, I don't know what would be going through their heads sometimes, but you let a good player walk. And I think that him, along with Gerald McCoy, that defensive tackle regime is just going to be is going to be unstoppable. I mean, I know it's Hard Knocks, I know it's preseason, but you have to get excited for something. I mean, so I think that Chris Baker, along with Gerald McCoy, is going to be the best defensive tackles in the game right now going. To me, both of those guys being defensive tackles and the havoc that Chris Baker, wrecked with the Washington Redskins, and Gerald McCoy been doing it for so long. He's been so dominant that, man, I fear for certain opposing offensive lines, especially offensive lines that are not good. I mean, yeah, good luck. But they also had Robert Ayers, who was with the New York Giants, and he was with the team with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year, and this year. So I think that Robert Ayers, he's a solid defensive end. Like I'm saying, so I think that with him being there, with Chris Baker, with Gerald McCoy, and now William Goldston, so he's a solid defensive end. And by those four guys being up front, it's just going to wreak havoc for the team. Now, let's move on to the linebackers real quick. Levante David being the right outside linebacker, I think is really, really good for the team. He's a solid linebacker. Quan Alexander being the middle linebacker is good for the team. Now, the left outside linebacker and Cameron Lynch, they're looking for him to step up. Me, in my opinion, I think Cameron Lynch is going to be very good for the left. The left outside linebacker spot is still kind of suspect to me, but if they keep him, good. I hope they started him in their first preseason game. They started him. He did pretty well. And I don't know how to say this guy's name, but I saw him on Hard Knocks. And he's a middle linebacker. Now, his name is Riley Bullock, I think it is. His first name is Riley. He wears number 49. So if you guys see this video and you watch Hard Knocks and you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, you will want that guy to be on your team. Now, because they have Quan Alexander as their middle linebacker, I think that if you put Riley at the left and have him on the team as well, starting, and him and Cameron Lynch can, flip in and out whenever they need them to, I think this linebacker combination will be really good. So their linebackers, their defensive line is really good. I think their safeties will be good. I think, like I said before in the video, I think Justin Evans will be really good. Now, their cornerback spot, they have Brent Grimes. We already know what he's about. He's a good corner, in my opinion. A little bit undersized as a corner, but he's still a good corner for this team. In my opinion, I think he's a good corner. They have Vernon Hargraves, who they drafted out of the first round last year, who they have real high expectations for. So I think that him being the corner that's coming up, who, if Brent Grimes were to leave the team in free agency or anything like that, he would be the number one corner option. And in my opinion, I think Vernon Hargreaves would be doing very, very well for this team, even this year and beyond. But they have Brent Grimes, who's a veteran, who can help him out. And just looking at the defense, you have the defensive line that's solid. Linebackers to me are solid. Left might be a little shaky, but it's still solid to me. Their safeties are fine to me. Their corners are fine to me. Like I said, the offensive line, three spots that are struggling, and 3 spots are struggling that hopefully they step up and the offensive line can become good. They have good receivers. They have 2 tight ends. They have, like I said, they have 2 tight ends. They have 3 running backs. Like I said, Doug Martin, he's going to be gone, but he's a real solid running back when he's there. Jameis Winston, he is the guy in Tampa Bay. He's the franchise quarterback. But overall, as a team, I know they play in the NFC South, and boy, that's going to be a lot. You know, you have New Orleans, who Drew Brees could just throw for 5,000 yards anytime he wants. You have the Atlanta Falcons, who got better. Carolina Panthers, who got Christian McCaffrey, but, you know, they look suspect. So being in that division, NFC South, and Tampa Bay being the last team, I think that if not winning the division, I think there will be a huge wild card. They might not get a home playoff spot, but I think that this team and what they got on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, they have safeties, they have defensive linemen, they have corners, they have the linebackers, they have the running backs, they got the tight ends, they got the receivers. Like I said, if the offensive line could just hold stable, Jameis Winston stop throwing interceptions, I think this team is a complete team now. This team looks complete, and if I'm right and everything I'm saying in this video, this team will be very, very, very good next year. I think they can make the playoffs. Like I said, I'm going to do a review of schedules in later videos before the season starts. But thank you guys for joining me on this video today. Please leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back with more content. Thank you for watching. Peace.